Good morning, class 10 students. Before starting this today's class, I would like to give you a few instructions. Number one, I haven't got the WhatsApp numbers. I'm not talking about phone numbers, WhatsApp numbers of all the students. Still, there are very less number of students who have texted me. So, if you are watching video, please text me with your name and your class. I know it is 10th class, but yeah, please mention class also, because there are some students of 11th as well as of 10th, sorry, 7th, to whom I'm also teaching to. So you need to send me message, and you need to send the homework regularly. It is not that ऐसे ही चल जाएगा काम, right? Number two, yeah, yes, number two is send me homework regularly on the regular basis. If I will not get homework regularly, I'm going to complain to your class teacher. Seriously, this is class 10th, you are board appearing students, and we don't know abhi this time board exams has been cancelled, but this might be once in the decade, right? So itna acha luck I don't know whether you guys have, and I wish there should be no like cancellation of board examination, otherwise the quality of the students lowers down. So I want not to cancel these board examinations, but I cannot say anything about this COVID situation. So the thing is, you have to prepare yourself for board examination, and please regularly send me the homework, especially last year questions, these questions which are at the end of the chapter. I want all these questions to be done in the book itself. If there is no space, do it in the notebook. But I need all these questions done on the very serious note. Seriously, students, एक बार को you can leave in text questions. So, yeah, these are in text questions, no? Yeah. You can leave in text questions. Even in text questions भी leave करने वाला content नहीं है. But still, last year questions, so you have to do it anyhow you have to do it, right? So please थोड़ा serious हो जाइए. Coming to the topic, covalent molecular bond. So in the last topic we have studied about ionic compounds and how ionic bonds are formed, with which we have studied their electron dot structure as well, right? So basically, what is covalent bond? Covalent bond is that type of bond which is formed by mutual sharing. Point to be noted, which is formed by mutual sharing. Sorry. That means if this is carbon and this is hydrogen, is this pen visible? If not, I can use this pencil. If this is carbon, this is hydrogen. So one electron will be shared by this carbon, one electron will be shared by this hydrogen, in such a way that both of them will share these two electrons, right? इसके 4 और बना दो साथ में hydrogen, right? This is how covalent bond is formed when sharing is done mutually. दोनों ही share कर रहे हैं. It is not that only one atom is sharing both the electrons. It is not that. Both the atoms are sharing electrons. That is known as covalent bond, right? Generally, atoms of non-metals usually have 5, 6, 7 electron, except carbon and hydrogen, which has just one in their outermost shell. The atom of such do not favor the loss of electron due to energy consideration, and this transfer of electron is not possible. Basically, they are saying that if I'll talk about hydrogen and carbon, then neither they can, like if I talk about carbon, then it has 4 electrons in its outermost shell. So neither it can gain 4 electrons, nor it is in the situation to lose 4 electrons, because a lot of energy is required either to gain or to lose electron. What it opts then? It opts to share electron, right? Each atom contributes equal number of electrons. So whenever, yeah, so whenever a non-metal combines with another non-metal to attain stable configuration, the sharing of electron takes place between their atoms and a covalent bond is formed, right? Now, Moving to the example of covalent bond, there are three types of covalent bond: single, double, triple. Right? Single means when there is a single danda, only one electron is shared. Double, when there are two electrons shared by two atoms simultaneously. I'm sorry, triple, when there are three covalent bonds shared by two atoms simultaneously. For instance, this is hydrogen and this is chlorine. So here hydrogen shares its one electron, it has only one electron. Now chlorine has 7 electron in its valence shell. Chlorine has atomic number 287, electronic configuration, no? So chlorine has 7 in its electronic valence shell. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. 2, 4, 6 and 7. Now what will happen? This hydrogen will share one electron from this chlorine, और अपना तो एक है, so it has completed its duplet. Similarly, this chlorine will share one electron from hydrogen to complete its octet. You can see its octet 2, 4, 6 and 2, 8. I think you have studied it in class 9th as well. So how can I write it as? Like this. This is single covalent bond. Right? Now if I'll talk about single ke hi or examples they have given. NH3. Nitrogen has how many electrons in its valence shell? 5. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Hydrogen has 1, so it will complete its octet here. Similarly here, similarly here. Octets are completed. Nitrogen will complete its octet. Sorry, duplet. In case of hydrogen, it's duplet. In case of nitrogen, it is octet. 2, 4, 6 and 2, 8. Similarly, they have given example of methane. Hydrogen has 1 electron, carbon has 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So hydrogen ka duplet is completed here and carbon ka octet is like this, right? So these are the examples of single covalent bond. If I'll talk about double covalent bond, then double covalent bond, for instance, CO2, carbon, oxygen, oxygen. Oxygen has how many electrons in its valence shell? 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Similarly here also 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Carbon has 4 electron. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right. So carbon has to complete its octet. कैसे होगा? 4 तो इसके खुद के हैं. 4 electrons are of this carbon itself. 2 यहाँ से लेगा, 2 यहाँ से लेगा. So 4 अपने हो गए. 5, 6, 7, 8. This is how it will complete its octet. Oxygen has 6 valence electron, 2 it will take from here. Similarly, this oxygen 2 it will take from here. So this can be written like this: C double bond O, double bond O. This is double covalent bond. Understood? Talking about triple covalent bond, this is nitrogen and this is another nitrogen. Nitrogen has how many valence electron? 5. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. इसको हटा दो. Similarly, nitrogen has 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So it has to complete its octet. How will it complete? 5, it has 5 electrons is of this nitrogen, plus 3 it will take from neighboring nitrogen. So 5 plus 3, 8. Same will happen in case of this nitrogen as well. So it will be written as N triple bond N. This is what we called triple covalent bond. Understood? If you will go through your book, you'll see they have given example of O2 as well. Let's take example of O2 also. O2. So there are 2 oxygen molecules. Oxygen has 6 valence electron. I'll write like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So octet इसका इस तरह से complete होगा. Similarly, its octet will be completed like this. It will form double covalent bond. Understood? Now They have given few more examples also. Go through yourself. Go through these examples yourself. Now what they are saying, um, they are they have further classified covalent compounds as non-polar as well as polar. I think the concept of this polarity, the concept of this polarity is being explained in the live classes. Okay, fine, it's fine if you have forgotten this. I'll explain you what is the concept of polar and non-polar. See, basically what happens. I think you have all have understood about the concept of electronegativity. See what happens when there is homogeneous atoms. होमोजीनियस एटम मीन्स ये भी क्लोरीन है, ये भी क्लोरीन है. सो इस क्लोरीन का इलेक्ट्रॉन ये है, इस क्लोरीन का इलेक्ट्रॉन ये है, राइट. These are they are made up of, say for instance, a single covalent bond. For instance, तो ये single covalent bond is made of two electrons. Both electrons will be in the center of the two atoms. Both the electrons, these are the two electrons, these will be in the center of two atoms if they are homogeneous. ठीक है ना. Why it will be in the center? Because जितनी पावर से ये खींच रहा है, ठीक उतनी ही पावर से ये वाला क्लोरीन भी इलेक्ट्रॉन्स को अट्रैक्ट कर रहा है. They have equal powers to attract electron towards themselves, and so the electrons will be in the center. This tendency to attract shared pair of electron is known as electronegativity. Remember, there is a difference between electronegativity and electron affinity, right? So but what happens if I'll write here H and Cl, heterogeneous atoms? Then if I'll expect that the two atoms will remain in the center of the two electrons will remain in the center of the two atoms, then it is not possible. Why? Because tendency of chlorine to attract electrons towards itself is more than tendency of hydrogen. That means electronegativity of chlorine is more than electronegativity of hydrogen. With the result, the electrons of these two atoms, shared electrons, will slightly shift towards chlorine, which will acquire slight negative charge, and the charge on the hydrogen will be slight positive charge. This is known as electronegativity, and hence it arises the charges, the uh, charges on the two sides of the atom, which has created in turn poles. This has created poles. This is known as polar. Pole aa gaya na? You know, poles, north pole, south pole. Similarly, positive pole and negative pole, right? The polarity or dipole moment will be towards this direction. All right, this is what we call as polar molecule. So polar molecule, polar covalent bond. Polar covalent bond arises, polarity arises due to difference in the electronegativity of two atoms. When there is homogeneous atoms, means both the atoms are same, then there is no as such polarity. Understood? Now let's move on to the topic. They are saying non-polar. Non-polar matlab when the electrons are equally distributed. Equally कब distribute होगा? When both the atoms are same. Like this hand cannot win from this hand because both have equal strength. जितना strength मेरा right hand में उतना ही strength left hand में. So both have equal strength. None of the hand can win from the another hand. Similarly, if there are two atoms of chlorine, then no chlorine can win the race. No chlorine can attract the atom towards itself because both have equal electron affinity, right? uh, right. If the two covalently bonded atoms are identically shared electrons at equal distance from the combining atom, such molecules are known as non-polar. This I have explained. ये basically क्या कह रहे हैं? If two covalently bonded atoms are identical, दोनों same हो, ठीक है, और इलेक्ट्रॉन्स आर इक्वल एट द इक्वल डिस्टेंस, दोनों के इलेक्ट्रॉन्स इक्वल डिस्टेंस पे हो, देन दे आर नोन एज नॉन पोलर. फॉर एग्जांपल H2, दोनों ही हाइड्रोजन के एटम है. So both will have same electronegativity or electropositivity, and none of them will attract electron towards themselves. Same happens in case of chlorine, oxygen, etc. Right? Now This I have explained you already. Read it yourself. Now next is polar covalent compounds. So polarity arises only when there is a difference of atoms and their difference in the electronegativity. तो वहाँ से polarity आ जाती है, means two poles are created, right? Two poles are created. So polarity arises when there are two different atoms. Let's read this. The covalent compounds are said to be polar when shared pair of electrons are not at equal distance between the two atoms. So when there is difference in the electronegativity, so what will happen? When there comes a difference in the electronegativity, so distance जो है atom electrons का from the two atoms will be different. That means here you see electrons are more closer to chlorine as compared to hydrogen. Electrons have more distance from hydrogen and lesser distance towards chlorine. This is known as polarity. When there is unequal distance from the two atoms, unequal distance of electrons from the two atoms, right? So they are saying the result in the development of fractional positive. Fractional means which I say as slight positive, slight negative, thoda thoda fractions में, not complete. Complete charges कहाँ आता है? Complete charges arises in case of ionic bond. I am saying here slight positive or fractional negative. Slight positive, slight negative, or you can say fractional positive, fractional negative. Not complete positive and complete negative. It do not happen. It happens in case of ionic bond. In case of ionic bond, when there is complete transfer of electron. I told you na, Na gives Na positive plus 1 electron. So there is complete transfer of electron. This is known as whole positive, one positive, one. Here it is slight, thoda, right? Thoda matlab we cannot like it's not measurable. Thoda, just thoda. It is not 1, 2, 3. Just say 1 rupees means 1 rupees. Thode paise. What do you mean by thode paise? So this is slight positive, not complete. All right. Hydrogen in, they have given the example of HCl. In hydrogen chloride, the strong nuclear charge of chlorine, the electronegativity of chlorine is 3. I told okay, chlorine is more electronegative than hydrogen. Okay. Attracts the shear pair of electron towards itself, the negative charge shift towards chlorine atom, thereby developing a slight shift towards chlorine atom, thereby developing a slight negative charge on it. The hydrogen atom develops a slight positive. I have already given the example. They have said, which they are saying, that hydrogen acquires slight positive and chlorine will acquire slight negative. Arrow will go towards chlorine, means electron are going towards chlorine. Arrow means that electrons are going towards chlorine, right? Now next they are saying other examples of polar covalent bond are H2O, NH3, HF. In case of H2O, which one is more electronegative? Oxygen. So it will acquire slight negative and hydrogen will acquire slight positive. Same in case of NH3 and in case of HF. See what they are writing here in this box. In solution, the fractional charges of polar covalent compounds are converted into complete charges or ions, and ions are produced. The process in which covalent compounds are converted into ions are called ionization. They are saying that whenever they comes in the solution form, whenever these polar charged molecules come in solution form, ये ना टूट जाते हैं, they break into ions. Like it will become H positive and F negative. It will become like this, right? At that point of time ये स्लाइट से कंप्लीट नेगेटिव हो जाता है, स्लाइट पॉजिटिव से कंप्लीट पॉजिटिव हो जाता है, राइट? That process is known as, that conversion is known as ionization. It is converting into ions, so that is known as ionization. More the difference in the polarity, more the difference in the electronegativity, more will be the polarity. जैसे हाइड्रोजन है और फ्लोरीन है. फ्लोरीन इज हाईली इलेक्ट्रोनेगेटिव एंड हाइड्रोजन इज हाईली इलेक्ट्रोपॉजिटिव. सो दोनों का इलेक्ट्रोनेगेटिविटी में देयर इज लार्ज डिफरेंस, विद द रिजल्ट वो ज़्यादा पोलैरिटी होगा. more will be the polarity. इसके poles ज़्यादा, इनके ऊपर ज़्यादा positive ज़्यादा negative charge होगा. But if I'll compare F and Cl and F, so F is also electronegative, क्लोरीन इज ऑल्सो इलेक्ट्रोनेगेटिव, बट एज कम्पेयर टू फ्लोरीन ये इलेक्ट्रोनेगेटिव इतना नहीं है. तो किसी ना किसी को तो पॉजिटिव चार्ज एक्वायर करना ही है. इन दिस केस क्लोरीन विल एक्वायर स्लाइट पॉजिटिव चार्ज, बट दे हैव ऑलमोस्ट सेम इलेक्ट्रोनेगेटिविटी. They have almost same electronegativity. With the result, their charges, the polarity will be not good enough जितना इस केस में होगा. So they are basically saying जितना ज़्यादा electronegativity में difference होगा, more will be the polarity. Right? Since the polar covalent molecule has both positive and negative pole, it is known as dipole. दो पोल होते हैं ना, पॉजिटिव एंड एज वेल एज नेगेटिव. सो टू मीन्स dipole. Right? A molecule that has both slight positive and slight negative charge is called dipole. Next come conditions for the formation of covalent bond. What are the conditions? First of all, both the atoms should have high electronegativity. Both the atoms should have high electron affinity. Both the atoms should have high ionization energy. Both atoms should have 4 or more electrons in their outermost shell. The electronegativity between should be either 0 or negligible. So these are few conditions, right? Okay, in the next video, that means tomorrow, today is 28th, 28th. Okay, I think this is enough for today, right? This is enough for today till here. Tomorrow we are going to study these covalent molecules and their structures. I think by tomorrow I can complete this topic. So that, okay, today's homework is you have to do question number 1 till question number 9. Okay, you have to do question from 1 to 9, and tomorrow you have to do the rest questions, right? Okay, bye bye, take care.